Zach Wilson is one of the most intriguing quarterbacks in this year's draft class. In a class where we have some highly projected quarterbacks, Zach Wilson finds himself to be one of the least proven guys of the entire group. After throwing just 23 touchdowns, 12 picks, 5 rushing TDs, and 18 games over his first 2 years at BYU, Wilson took a huge step forward, completing 73.5% of his passes for over 3,700 yards, 33 passing TDs, 3 interceptions, and 10 rushing touchdowns in just 2020. While Trevor Lawrence is the clear-cut QB1 of the class, the same can't be said about the order for the rest of the group. I've seen lists that have Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Zach Wilson all at number 2, and they vary from there. So this is a year there seems to be no clear-cut number 2 quarterback. I watched 4 games from this past season for BYU. I watched BYU versus Troy, Houston, Boise State, and Coastal Carolina, and you may see some plays from the UCF game. Wilson has some very high strengths, but also has some very impactful weaknesses that are the reason why he's not the clear-cut QB2. In 2020, he put up 33 passing touchdowns to just 3 interceptions, 10 rushing TDs, while going 11-1. And number 2, I have great decision making. In the 4 games that I watched, Wilson really didn't make a lot of poor decisions. He threw the ball where he needed to, didn't throw into double coverage much, and was really smart with the football. Number 3, I would say strong arm. I wouldn't say an elite arm, and I think that's where I'm going to differ from a lot of people, because every scouting report that I looked at, they say Zach Wilson has one of the strongest arms, has this amazing arm. And while I don't completely disagree, I noticed when his mechanics or footwork are really good, or what they're supposed to be, his arm is great. But when the mechanics are off, that's when his arm loses some power, and it's just pretty good. It's no longer into the great category. Don't worry, I'll show some examples of this later in the video. Number 4, when his footwork is right, he's really accurate on short to medium throws. And lastly, Zach Wilson is a really great athlete. It really surprised me because I saw, he only had 200 some yards this year on the ground, and I was surprised about how athletic he actually is. He could run the read option, he runs QB draws, he'll be able to do all of this at the next level with ease. He's a great improviser behind the line of scrimmage, which opens up so much after the pocket breaks down. He can run out, scramble out, and make throws on the run. Now, let's look at some of his weaknesses. Number 1, he didn't play against the best competition. He played a game against Boise State where they came away with the victory, but played against the backup quarterback because the starter got hurt, played against Coastal Carolina in a really tough battle where they ended up losing, and against UCF in the bowl game. Those are really the 3. You can include Houston in that mix too if you really wanted, but those are the 3 to 4 most challenging games on a schedule, and I wouldn't say a lot of those teams are super great. Number 2, Zach Wilson was a one-year wonder. He improved his completion percentage by 11%, his yards by 1,300, and went from 11 touchdowns to 33 passing touchdowns. You have to wonder if this was a fluke year or if he just improved. This will hurt Zach Wilson a little bit in terms of scouting. We saw Trey Lance have 1 season as a starting quarterback and 1 great year, so he was 1 for 1. Mac Jones filled in for Tua and played really good that season, but in his 1 season as a starter, he played great, 1 for 1 again. Justin Fields, same situation, 2 years as the starting quarterback for the Ohio State Buckeyes and had 2 awesome years, 2 for 2. Zach Wilson had 3 years as the starting quarterback. 2 of those years are pretty uninspiring in terms of him being an NFL prospect, so really he's 1 for 3, where everyone else is perfect. Now let's talk about some weaknesses that are on the field. Number 3, sometimes he tries to do way too much. He thinks he's an elite athlete when he's only pretty good. He can really, get out of the pocket and scramble and make guys miss, but sometimes he tries to do it consistently way too much, and I've seen it a couple times where he did it on key 3rd downs that knocked him out of field goal range, or just took him out of the play completely when he could have threw the ball away or checked it down. Number 4, he has very inaccurate long passes, and it's very inconsistent. He really needs to do a better job at leading the receivers downfield, and this would be one of my key weaknesses with him, is his downfield accuracy. And lastly, number 5, his footwork is inconsistent. When it's good, his throws are great, but he can be lackadaisical with his mechanics and footwork at times, which leads to not great timing on back shoulder routes and out routes. I've seen a lot of this where he's underthrowing the ball because he's not following through with his motion. I'll show you examples of that later as well. I wanted to rate Zach Wilson's athletic ability on a 1 to 10 scale, so I made the scale. A 1 being Tom Brady, which really no mobility at all, just a pocket slouch. 3 is Kirk Cousins, who isn't super athletic, but can maybe get a first down if he really needs to. Number 5 is Teddy Bridgewater, who might get the occasional, quarterback design run, but you're not getting anything too often, but can get out of the pocket, make some mobility, and make some plays downfield. In the 7 range, that's going to be your Daniel Jones, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, Mitch Trubisky type of guy. Not the most athletic, but you're going to get a couple read options, QB draws, QB sneaks, and it has the ability to run around in the red zone. And of course, number 10 is going to be Lamar Jackson, Kyler Murray, Josh Allen, that type of athlete. So where do I rank Zach Wilson on this scale? I definitely put him between the 7 to 10 range, maybe at an 8. I think he's a little bit more athletic than someone like Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones did almost have a huge 80-yard run earlier in the year, but he tripped himself up. I think that's something that Zach Wilson's capable of. He really does remind me of a Taysom Hill. In the red zone, we've seen Taysom Hill be a real big factor. I mean, QB draws, sweeps. Zach Wilson's the type of quarterback that can get read options, quarterback design runs, QB draws. That's definitely something that's going to be in Zach Wilson's wheelhouse and will be a big bonus to NFL franchises. Alright, so finally, let's dive into some film. First off, I want to show you Zach Wilson's athletic ability. On this play here, you're going to see Zach Wilson drop back, not find anybody downfield, not see anything he likes, and take off. And he just really gets around number 44. He just makes him miss. He doesn't really give him much of a move. I mean, you'll see in the replay here, he gives him a little bit of a dead leg. But the one thing I'm really impressed with Zach Wilson is his acceleration. He can really kind of stop and get going again really quickly, which is kind of rare from quarterbacks. Most of the time you see quarterbacks with great top end speed, but not much acceleration. Now here's a play that isn't super remarkable, but he gets out of the pocket, hits a pump fake, and he's almost on a dead stop, but really accelerates and gets some positive yards. On this next play, you're going to see Zach Wilson just drop back, scan downfield, don't see anything he likes, takes off, and gives a little bit of a move to this defender and makes him completely whiff. He takes off, and look at the speed. I mean, he starts to pull away from some defenders, and he just slides, gives himself up, which is smart, rather than taking an unnecessary contact or anything like that. But, I mean, you'll see in the replay, scans the pocket, drops back, doesn't see anything, gives this dude another dead leg, a little, hop juke, and then just takes off. Alright, so let's look at some design quarterback runs. On this play here, I mean, he's just going to do a simple speed option. He's going to fake the pitch and take it inside. And instead of giving the dude really a move, he just runs through a dude's face, which I don't really approve of, him being a quarterback and only weighing about 210 pounds was a little undersized for quarterback, but I like to see that he's aggressive and isn't just going to go down. I mean, I'd like to see him be safe, but it's nice to see that he can, run through a dude. Here's one of my favorite runs from Zach Wilson. He's just going to do a simple QB draw, just take off, and he's going to make a linebacker miss and find his way into the end zone. You can tell that this kid has a nose for the end zone. He has a way of just finding a way to get in through contact, making a guy miss, diving, no matter what it takes, he's going to get in the end zone. And here's the last run I'll show you. Zach Wilson does another QB draw, takes it up the gut, and look at how he makes the safety miss. He makes the safety whiff by a mile, like not even close. The next Lamar Jackson and Kyler Murray, but he's a pretty solid athlete. I'm really impressed by his athleticism. Alright, so let's show off some of Wilson's improvisational skills. I mean, this play here, he's going to come off the play action, instant pass rushes at him. He spins out of the tackle, rolls out. I don't love the flip to the running back, but at least he got out of the pocket and tried to make something happen. So here's another great play. It's 3rd and 8. They have to make a move here. Wilson rolls out of the pocket, makes a dude miss, and just look at the ability to escape. I mean, he makes multiple guys miss and throws it downfield. Doesn't complete it, sure, but at least he got, put himself in a position to make a throw. Alright, so next, I want to show you a combination of 2 things. His arm strength and footwork. These things go hand in hand with each other. When he has great footwork, you will see absolute darts, lasers. But when you see him going off balance, not following through with his motion, when it gets sloppy, you can see a huge decrease in velocity throwing the ball. This is what I want Zach Wilson to do every single time he drops back to make a throw. Just look at how hard he throws this ball and look at his form. He plants his feet, he launches, and he follows through to a T. And look at where the ball is. Perfectly placed. The receiver ends up dropping it, but it should have been a touchdown. I mean, look at the slow-mo. He follows through. He whips that ball with so much velocity. That's the max. That's what he can be. He can have these darts. Here's another great throw from Wilson. He's going to drop back, have all day in the pocket, keep calm, and he's going to step, fire, and follow through. I'd like to see him follow through a little bit more, but still, I mean, he puts a dart on this throw. What I love about this throw is that he gets the ball, snaps his hips, fires towards the receiver, and throws it outside away from the defender. You're going to see in the slow-mo how he really just turns his hips. You know, a lot of quarterbacks in this situation will get it, you know, kind of have cement feet, what I like to call, where they don't replant their feet. You know, they keep it not aimed at the receiver and they use all arm, what Zach Wilson could do because he has a big arm, but instead he, you know, plants once, turns his hips, you know, snaps his hips over quickly and throws it to the outside. One thing I like about Zach Wilson a lot is when the pocket's clean, you know, he doesn't freak out. He doesn't really have necessarily an internal clock that freaks him out. Some quarterbacks do, where they start to panic, they start to run around. He makes little subtle moves, little subtle slides in the pocket, and fires his ball. I wish he followed through a little bit more. That's footwork and mechanics once again. I feel like on this one he kind of, you know, falls through but pulls back. Not necessarily, you know, a clean follow through, but still a great throw and great pocket presence. Here's another throw where if he just followed through a little bit more and didn't fade because of the pressure, I think this would have been a completed pass. It's so close, the tight end just barely drops it, but when he drops back, you can see that he doesn't fall all the way through, and that's still going to be my biggest pet peeve. He doesn't, you know, shift his weight through the throw, and he kind of throws off his back foot arm. It looks like he follows through, but when you look, he really doesn't. He doesn't shift his weight at all, and just because your arm goes all the way through doesn't mean that your weight followed. Here's another great throw from Zach Wilson. I will say, once again, the footwork is a little off for me. You're going to see he makes a great sidestep to get away from the blitzing defender, but then what does he do? Instead of, you know, shifting his weight towards the receiver, he fades towards his backside, and the throw's a little behind. I've just seen so many players in the NFL, so many quarterbacks try to make this throw where they fade away and the linebacker catches up on the behind the receiver pass and it gets picked off, or an underneath linebacker comes because, you know, you're fading on this throw. You don't get as much zip. You can even tell the throw's a little less powerful and it doesn't get there as quick. This will be the last play I show you about his footwork. Now on this play, you just see the amount of arm strength he loses from bad footwork. He's going to kind of, you know, shift out to the left, and he does like a jump pass, like off balance throw. And what does it do? The ball gets there a little bit late, and it takes a while to get there. And then the fullback or running back has to fall down to catch it because it's not an accurate pass. If he would have stuck his foot in the ground and followed through and zipped it in there, at least the fullback would have been able to catch it and make, you know, maybe a little play after the run or run after the catch. Now I want to show you some positive film from Zach Wilson. These are some big throws that he made, some very accurate, well-placed balls. Here's a great throw from Zach Wilson. He's going to come off the play action, and he's going to throw downfield to his receiver. But not only does he hit the receiver, he throws it up high to where only the receiver can get it. This play does a great job of showing what Zach Wilson can be when he puts all his strengths together. When he puts together the mobility, the improvisational skills, the playmaking skills, the arm strength, and the arm accuracy. I mean, he's going to roll out to the right, avoid the pass rush, throw a strong pass downfield, and get it right on the sideline to where only the receiver can get it. I mean, you couldn't throw a better ball than this. Here's just another awesome throw. It shows two things: him throwing off platform and throwing sidearm. You know, being able to change his arm angle and making throws downfield accurately with power. That's a pretty rare commodity. This throw isn't crazy from Wilson, but the receiver's just going to run a little stick into the end zone, and Wilson's going to throw it on his outside shoulder away from the defense. That's really good ball placement that's going to carry in the NFL. This is the last throw I'll show you focusing on ball placement. He's just going to have a simple crossing route over the middle, but he's going to throw it nice and low. By doing this, he's going to avoid his receiver from taking a big hit and making a nice possession catch down to the ground. Alright, so let's look at Zach Wilson's arm strength. Here's a scale I made that will hopefully give you a visual representation of where I value Zach Wilson's arm strength compared to NFL QBs. On this scale, a 1 is being represented by Phillip Rivers, who has really no arm, just retired, but had no arm last year at all. Representing number 10 is going to be, of course, Patrick Mahomes, who has the best arm in the entire NFL. Zach Wilson's arm strength ranks an 8 out of 10. I will show you throws that will give you an idea of how strong his arm actually is, but let's not get carried away with the arm strength. I will also show you some throws that will show you why the highest I can rank his arm strength is at number 8. So on this play here, you're going to see Zach Wilson roll out to the left, spin around, step up in the pocket, and throw a Hail Mary right before halftime. He throws this from about the 40-yard line, give or take, and throws it down to the goal line. So that's a 60-yard throw. He throws it between the 35 and 40, so it's about, anywhere from a 60 to 65-yard throw. And if you look at his footwork, which I know I've been talking a lot about footwork, he does like a weird hop jump throw. He doesn't really plant his feet and give it all she's got. You know what I mean? He doesn't really even like throw his back out throwing the ball. So I think that his arm strength is even farther. I mean, I can see him pushing 70 yards. This play here, you're going to see Wilson come off a play action, drop way back in the pocket, step up, and throw a 50-yard bomb for a touchdown or a near touchdown. This throw is a good example of why I can't give him a 9 or a 10 on my strength scale. A lot of quarterbacks that are at the 9 or 10 arm strength can make this throw on a complete line. And I'm not saying this isn't a great throw. I'm not trying to, knock him down, because it still is a great throw. But you can tell it hung in the air a little bit longer than it probably should have. It's not an elite throw. Now, this is an elite throw. Patrick Mahomes, with not a very clean pocket, can still step into the throw and throw it 45 yards on a complete line. You don't see very many throws from Zach Wilson that look like this. And this is why Pat Mahomes is a 10. Here's another great throw from Zach Wilson. He's going to drop back, step up in the pocket, and deliver a 40-yard strike down the field, high for his receiver to go up and get it away from all the defenders. Now, once again, this ball isn't on a complete line like a Pat Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers throw, but he still gets it 40 yards downfield pretty quickly. This is one of my favorite throws from Zach Wilson. It's 3rd and 15, right before halftime. He needs to make a play to get a first down. He rolls out to the right, throws across his body, and sticks the throw. I mean, really just sticks it right in there. This is a great throw and shows off how strong his arm actually is. Here's another great play from Wilson. He's going to come off the play action, snap his hips towards the receiver, and fire a dart. This throw does a good job of showing off how strong Wilson's arm is when he drops back and steps through and really follows through on his mechanics. I mean, you can see how fast it really gets to the receiver. Here's the last play I'll use to show off his velocity. I mean, he's just going to drop back and throw a dart over the middle. I mean, he's going to make the receiver reach a little far for it, but it's still an accurate pass and has a lot of velocity on it. Now I just want to do a quick little compilation of plays where he does too much, where he tries to run around and make plays happen. Here it's 3rd and 8. They're down 5 points in the 4th quarter. They're in field goal range, and what does he do? He tries to, take off backwards and make a crazy athletic play when he could have checked it down, thrown to a receiver, or just thrown it away. But instead, he knocks him out of field goal range, and now they're forced to punt. Here's another play where Wilson takes a really bad sack. It's 1st and 10, 48 seconds left. They're on the opponent's 35-yard line. Wilson, instead of checking it down where he has 2 open receivers, takes a critical sack, which will knock him out of field goal range and just makes the situation a lot harder than it needs to be. That is not the time to scramble and gamble like he was trying to do right there. Now, here's a real bonehead mistake from Zach Wilson. It's 4th and 1. BYU runs a trick play, a throwback back to Wilson, and Wilson, what does he do? He has his eyes glued downfield and misses the wide open receiver right in front of his face. Granted, he still should have probably completed the pass for the first down. I mean, the receiver dropped it, but that would have been all avoided if he just hit the simple check down receiver, but he completely missed him. Here's another play where Wilson is simply just doing too much. He steps up in the pocket and just throws one into double coverage in the end zone. Luckily, he gets bailed out by pass interference, but still, that was a terrible throw, not a good decision. I don't know if he decided to do it because, he said, screw it, it's against Houston, or if he just made a simple mistake, but not a good decision, not a good throw. And here's probably one of the worst throws I've seen him make when I was doing my film study. This throw had everything wrong with it. Threw it into double coverage, underthrew his receiver. His weight, like you just see him throw, all his weight was shifted way too forward, like he was just lobbing it over there. And it was a terrible pass. Wasn't a good decision, wasn't a good throw, didn't have good ball placement, nothing was good about this play. Now let's talk about what Wilson struggles with a lot, and that's outside timing routes. I mean, you see this one here, it's really underthrown. I mean, you should throw back shoulder, but your receiver shouldn't have to completely stop, turn around, and come back to the ball when it's supposed to be put on his back shoulder in stride. Here's another bad outside throw. It's supposed to be another back shoulder fade, but he throws it way too late. He doesn't get it downfield enough, so the receiver has to come back. He throws it inside, and he really wasn't open. He didn't have good enough position on the corner. He was really pinned against the sideline, so it was just a lose-lose type of throw. And here's yet again another bad back shoulder fade. I mean, it just isn't back shoulder. He completely underthrows it once again. The receiver has to stop, turn around, and catch the ball. Granted, once again, he should have probably caught the ball, but this isn't where the ball's supposed to be. It's not supposed to be low inside. It's supposed to be high outside on the back shoulder. It's just such an easy pass for a corner to catch up on if it's underthrown. Here's just another bad pass to the outside. I mean, it's super late. It's inside where the defender is. This is just a Jameis Winston interception that I've seen 1,000 times. And the last film that I want to show you is Zach Wilson's biggest flaw as a prospect. That's his downfield accuracy. This also goes into how strong is his arm actually, because he underthrows so many deep routes. On this play here, Zach Wilson's going to come off the weird low play action and chuck it downfield. There's pass interference on the play, but he gets completely bailed out. This receiver has 5-yard step on the nearest defender. This ball should be placed out in front of him for a long touchdown. Instead, BYU luckily got the pass interference call, but you're not going to get lucky every single time. It's passes like these that make me question Zach Wilson's arm strength. He's at about the 50-yard line, so he throws his ball about 40 yards downfield, but completely underthrows the receiver. Luckily, he gets bailed out again by pass interference, but you're not going to be able to get bailed out every single underthrow. A lot of the times in the NFL, those get picked off. This isn't a play I necessarily hate because he throws the ball about 60 yards. It might even be more than that, which is an awesome throw. I mean, that just shows off how big his arm can be. But what happens? The ball's underthrown. He threw it a little bit late. He maxed out his arm and it fell incomplete because he underthrew it and then the receiver had to come back and fight against the defender. I'd like to see Zach Wilson get this ball out just a little bit earlier so maybe he can hit the receiver in stride. On this play, Wilson comes off another play action and finds his receiver down the sideline. It was a good read. He found the open guy, but once again, he just underthrew the ball. This receiver has a step, and I'm not saying he's going to necessarily score a touchdown, but he should catch it in stride and keep running. This is the worst deep ball Wilson threw all day. I mean, this receiver is wide open, and sure, maybe he was just making sure that he completed the pass. He is so wide open, if you hit him even a little bit in stride, he's scoring this touchdown easy. He doesn't have to get lucky and break a tackle when he should just walk right into the end zone untouched. This throw by Wilson really isn't that bad, but it's once again, it's just a little bit underthrown to where the receiver doesn't score this touchdown where if the ball's placed on him or a little bit out in front of him, this is going to be a touchdown. Wilson underthrows it just enough for the receiver to slow down to make this catch to where he cannot score the touchdown. All right, that's all the film I'm going to show you today. My final thoughts on Zach Wilson. I think he's an instant day one starter. I think he's going to be a player who could benefit from sitting out a portion of the season, but I don't think he would be doomed if he had to play right away. I think Wilson needs to improve on his outside timing and his deep ball accuracy, and I think a big issue with all those things is his footwork. He needs to improve on his footwork and make it more consistent. His mechanics need to follow through with the ball, shift his weight through the pass. Sometimes he's all arm, and that's not going to work on outside throws. That's how pick sixes happen. I think he's really close to being a great QB. If he can find a way to improve on these little things, he's going to be all right. He will bring athleticism, short to medium accuracy, and a big playmaking ability day one to a franchise. I personally see Wilson going to the New York Jets. I think the bridge is burnt between Sam Darnold and the Jets, so I can see the Jets moving on from Sam Darnold, and that would slide Wilson right into a starting spot. All in all, I think Zach Wilson has a lot of potential to be a pretty good quarterback in the NFL. Alright, and that's the Zach Wilson scouting report. I want to thank you guys so much for watching, I really do appreciate it. I'm going to be releasing scouting reports on the next 4 quarterbacks: Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, Trey Lance, and Mac Jones. So if you like what you saw today, stick around, like the video, subscribe down below, and I'll see you guys next time.